How you guys doing? Welcome to another episode of Rotten Apples Film Review. I'm your host, John Galligan. Today I'm going to discuss the movie Call of the Wild, starring Harrison Ford and the CGI dog Buck. This is a Jack London adaptation from his book, Call of the Wild, that came out in 1903. It's set in the Yukon in the 1890s gold rush. All right, so I mean, it's a fun movie. It's definitely aimed more at children. I consider this to be somewhat of a Disney-esque kind of thing, especially with John Powell's music. It comes off very light and fun. It's definitely defanged, if you want to, if you will. Jack London's follow-up to Call of the Wild is White Fang. So, yeah, this book is defanged, I would say. It stars a really strong, surprisingly strong cast. I think they offset the fact that the dog is not as believable as you'd like him to be as a dog. It's CGI. So, the dog is well done, but it has moments where it looks really like a dog, and then it has moments where it's CGI, and I think it doesn't take away from the film, but I do think the reason why it's not as distracting is because of the strong performances from Harrison Ford, who really leads in a brilliant way. He gives so much to the character John Thornton. I actually like. My name's John, so I like the fact that my hero Harrison Ford is playing a character named John. So I don't know why that actually is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, he brings some depth to it. You kind of feel for John. He's out there in the Yukon by himself, and he bumps into to Buck. Buck exhibits the best qualities of a dog. I mean, there are times where they do exaggerate the intelligence of a canine. I mean, there are moments where he's like opening doors and stuff like that, which I know canines can do, but it's a little bit embellished a little bit, and the story is told that way for the joy of it. It's fun. Karen Gillan is in it. She plays Nebula actually in Marvel, but she has a brief moment. You recognize, oh, that's Nebula. It's pretty cool. And I think Dan Stevens, he's Hal. He's like the villain who is obsessed with the gold rush, and he wants to get out there, and there's some entanglement with John Thornton, Harrison Ford's character, and it's cool how that's part of the thickest part of the film, I would say, is the animosity between the two characters. More Dan Stevens being his character, Hal, being a little bit lost and obsessed with gold, which is part of the story. And then you got Omar Sy, who plays Perot, and it's a dog sledding kind of adventurous part of Buck's life, because you go along in some of Buck's lives. Like, it starts off with Buck getting kidnapped, just like the book. He gets taken away from the farm, I guess. I enjoyed the film. If I had to give it a score, I would say based on Harrison Ford's performance, and Cara G is also really good with Omar Sy when they have the dog sledding. That whole sequence is really good. I would say I would give it 7 out of 10 apples. It's definitely worth taking the kids to. It's definitely a kid fun film, and I think kids would probably give it a higher score, because it's really enjoyable. Buck is there's some funny moments with Buck, and it's got rewatchability too. Ford wears a derby, and there are moments where he does, because he opens a map, and you have this feeling like he's kind of touching on the Harrison Ford character. He says the line, "We walk from here," which he says in Temple of Doom. It's almost like a nod to the fans in the audience, the Indiana Jones fans. And I definitely loved hearing that, and I thought it was really cool. I think the film is fun. It's an enjoyable film. It's definitely a story worth watching, and especially if you want to bring the kids. This is Rotten Apples Film Review. I'm your host, John Galligan, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. See you next time.